There is a reason some Australians never seem stressed about money, even when interest rates jump, even when groceries double, even when their mates are picking up second jobs just to keep the lights on. It is not because they earn more at work. It is because their money earns for them around the clock, whether they show up or not. $5,000 a month flowing in without lifting a finger sounds like a fantasy reserved for trust fund kids or property tycoons, but the reality is far more achievable than it appears. Everyday Aussies are pulling this off using a handful of simple, legal, well established strategies that already exist inside our banking system, our share market, and our property market. The problem is that nobody teaches this stuff in school, and most of us were raised to believe the only honest way to make money is by trading hours for dollars. But the wealthiest people in this country are not working harder than you. They have just built systems that pay them while they sleep, while they travel, while they spend Sunday afternoons with their kids at the beach. Today, you are going to learn 4 real ways to build that same kind of income stream here in Australia, using strategies that work with our tax system, our franking credits, and the cash you might already have sitting in the bank doing nothing. Passive income is not magic money, and it is not free. It either takes capital you have saved or time you have spent building something that pays you later. Most Aussies who hit the $5,000 a month mark did it by combining a decent income with disciplined saving over 5 to 15 years, then plugging that money into the right places. If you are starting from zero today, the strategies you are about to hear still apply. They scale down just as well as they scale up. Start with what you have, stay consistent, and let the system do its work. Let's start with the simplest one: high interest savings accounts and term deposits. I know it does not sound exciting, but hear me out because the numbers in 2026 are genuinely surprising. Right now, banks like ING, Macquarie, Ubank, Rabobank, and several others are offering bonus rates between 4.75% and as high as 5.90% on savings, provided you meet a few simple conditions like depositing a set amount each month or growing your balance. If you park $200,000 in an account earning 5.5%, that throws off around $11,000 a year in interest, which works out to roughly $920 a month sitting in your account without you lifting a finger. Now, I know what you're thinking. 200 grand sounds like a fortune, but this is a building block, not the whole answer. Even $50,000 earning that rate gives you about $230 a month, and that is the seed that grows everything else. The beauty here is zero risk, full government guarantee up to $250,000 per institution under the financial claims scheme, and instant access if life throws you a curveball. The trade-off is that inflation eats into your real return, and the tax office wants its share of every dollar of interest you earn. The second stream is where things start to get exciting, and this is dividend investing through Australian shares and ETFs. The Aussie share market is one of the highest dividend yielding markets in the developed world, and we have something called franking credits, which is essentially a tax refund for dividends already taxed at the company level. An ETF like Vanguard's VHY currently throws off a dividend yield of around 5 to 6%, and when you add franking credits, the grossed up return can push closer to 7%. Let's run the maths. If you invested $300,000 into a diversified basket of high-yield Aussie shares or an ETF, you could realistically expect somewhere between $15,000 and $18,000 a year in dividends and franking credits combined. That is $1,250 to $1,500 a month flowing in, paid out usually twice a year as lump sums you can either spend or reinvest to compound your returns. The risk here is real. Share prices move up and down, and dividends can be cut during recessions, as we saw back in 2020. But over a 10 or 20-year horizon, Australian dividend payers have been one of the most reliable income engines on the planet. Stream number 3 is real estate investment trusts, or REITs, and this is one of the most underrated passive income strategies in Australia. A REIT lets you own a slice of commercial property, shopping centres, industrial warehouses, office towers, even data centres, without ever needing to be a landlord, fix a toilet, or chase a tenant for rent. Australian REITs in 2026 are paying distribution yields between 5 and 7.5%, with some industrial and specialised rates paying even more. Put $150,000 into a REIT portfolio yielding 6.5%, and you are looking at roughly $9,750 a year, or about $810 a month, dropping into your account every quarter. And because these distributions are often partly tax deferred, your effective after-tax return can be higher than it first appears. The risk here is interest rate sensitivity. With the RBA cash rate sitting at 4.35%, REIT prices have come under pressure, which is exactly what makes this an interesting time to buy. When rates eventually peak and start to fall, REIT valuations tend to recover strongly, and you get to lock in higher yields while the rest of the market is nervous. Think of REITs as the middle ground between shares and physical property. You get the diversification and liquidity of the stock market, paired with the income characteristics of commercial real estate. Now for the fourth and final stream, and this one takes the most courage but pays the biggest reward over time. Direct residential property investment using rental income. The national gross rental yield in Australia sat at around 4.7% in 2026, but certain markets are paying far more. Darwin is leading the country by a wide margin, with an average rental yield of 7.2% across the city and Berrima recording 7.6% on houses. Darwin units are even stronger, with suburbs like Karama and Malak hitting 7.7%, and the top-performing unit suburbs delivering yields between 7.45 and 8.73%. Regional Queensland, parts of Adelaide, and pockets of Perth are also delivering yields between 5.5 and 6.5%. Here is how the maths plays out. Buy a $500,000 investment property in a high-yield area at a 7% gross yield, and you collect $35,000 a year in rent. After expenses, rates, insurance, property management, and maintenance, you might net around $26,000, which is just over $2,160 a month. Combine that with the fact that Darwin house prices have grown 17% this year alone, more than any other capital city, and you have an income asset that is also delivering serious capital growth. Yes, you typically need a deposit of $100,000 or more, and yes, you might use a small mortgage. But this is how generations of Aussies have steadily become millionaires while everyone else was busy chasing the next pay rise. One option worth knowing about is rent vesting, where you rent the home you actually want to live in while owning an investment property somewhere more affordable that pays for itself. So let's bring it all together. Combine $920 a month from savings, $1,250 from Dividend ETFs, $810 from REITs, and $2,160 from a rental property, and you land at $5,140 a month in passive income. And remember, this is built using simple, proven strategies that already exist inside the Australian financial system. You do not need to launch a startup, build an audience, or pour 80 hours a week into a side hustle. The hardest part is not the strategy. It is the decision to begin before you feel ready, because the people earning passive income today started years ago with smaller amounts and less knowledge than you have right now after watching this video. Pick one stream, open the account, make the first deposit this week. Future you will thank present you in ways you cannot yet imagine. If this gave you a clearer picture of what is actually possible in Australia, do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. I will see you there.